Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. This is the Gunner side. Every week we have all the three generals today, and we have this program coming live from both Gunner Shot and P Gurus. Let's welcome the three good generals. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Namaskar and thanks a lot.
Today, General Raj Shukla is going to lead the charge. General Raj Shukla, every time this guy opens his mouth, the Field Marshal of Pakistan, I refuse to call him by the Field Marshal. He's more like a Field Marshal. And what is he marshalling, sir? His thoughts, his troops, or it's something else?
So, I'm told that he's Hafiz-e-Quran. So the armed forces, you can express your professional attributes in many ways. So you can be, since this is a Gunners Forum, you can be LGSC, you can be Staff College. His claim to fame is that he's an Hafiz of the Quran. I'm told that he spent some time in Saudi Arabia as a DA or something. And during that time, he by-hearted the Quran. So that is his claim to fame. And when he was up in contention for the army chief, Saudi Arabia backed him. And I don't know, General Shankar may correct me, in the long lineage of army chiefs, the first guy who played the religion card was Zia-ul-Haq. And I don't think he was actually religious, he faked it. But this man, he doesn't appear like a general, he sounds like an Islamic preacher. I was watching that, that address to the Ulemas, and I have never seen him speak of anything, which is strategic, which is operational, which will express those kind of professional attributes. But he invokes the Quran, he invokes Allah. Imagine a modern day general saying that in Sindoor, at the heart of crisis, he as the army chief felt the intervention of Allah. I mean, at one end it's amusing. Like Field Marshal Manekshaw saying in 71 that before he decided to go to Dhaka, Lord Krishna had called or something like that. So anyway, that's amusing to one point. But one thing we must grant to him, to be fair to this man, what magic has he, woven around Trump? I just don't understand that there is some magic that Asim Munir, that grand Field Marshal, that great Field Marshal, that's one part of the whole thing. But the other thing is, I don't know, I was told he was supposed to go to Washington. Has he gone to Washington? Where now Trump will tell him to demonstrate his yari. Uska jo friendship hai, uske wo kya hai, wo chunauti ki ghadi aa gayi hai. And that is around the International Stabilization Force. So see, Middle East is very central to Trump. Whether he gets his facts right or wrong, he says that peace has come to the Middle East in 3,000 years. And if you see his national security strategy, the Middle East is very central. There is some talk of the Americans going to re-theaterize, in which the northern and southern commands are going to be merged to take care of the Western Hemisphere. The Eurocom, the AFRICOM, and the CENTCOM, something as critical as the CENTCOM, are being merged into an international command, which means he thinks Middle East peace has returned, so decrease in these territorial concerns. The only command he retains intact is IPACOM, which is against China, and then there is a whole lot of talk of space, cyber, and all that. But in his grand scheme of things, the fact that CENTCOM, Eurocom, and AFRICOM are merging means he's assuming, or the presumption is that there'll be peace in Middle East, and he'll get to focus on the Western Hemisphere and Taiwan. And central to peace in the Middle East is this International Stabilization Force, because if that Rivera stuff has to get going, somebody has to disarm the Gaza, to disarm the Hamas. Now there are two stories coming out of Pakistan, at least on the social media. One is that Munir has told Trump from the word go that Pakistan will give a military component to the International Stabilization Force, but that component will ensure humanitarian aid, it will ensure safe passage for those who wish to exit from Gaza, but they will not commit to de-arming or de-weaponization of Hamas. Those troops will come from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Indonesia. And the other story is that he offered this to Trump. Trump hasn't quite bought it. So he's being summoned to Washington to explain. Now, see, Trump, once he becomes your friend, can hold you to account. Now, I'm not too sure if he tells Munir that you have to commit troops to the de-weaponization of Hamas, that is suicide for him back home. Because de-weaponization means you'll have to disarm them not only of the larger calibers, the smaller calibers, but more importantly, all that tunnel stuff and all which Hamas has done. You have to convert Hamas from fighters to contractors for the Riviera. And that, as any military man will tell you, is the biggest challenge. It's not going to happen easily. And that is, central to resolving this Gaza dispute. The other thing that, is breathing down the neck of both Asim Munir and Donald Trump is, I'm told, Netanyahu's, what shall I say, persuasion or advocacy. He's seeking a meeting with Trump to tell him that the Iranian missile and nuclear program is back. And so we have to take a second shot, which means a second strike at Iran. Now, that will again complicate matters, and Netanyahu is insisting on de-weaponization or disarming of Gaza. So here is where, Asim Munir's friendship with the United States is stuck, and it could have wider ramifications on politics. But the real issue to worry is this for India. Munir has so orchestrated events in Bangladesh. There is the Pakistan factor, there is the larger pan-Islamic factor. But is he trying to engineer a conflict between Bangladesh and India? Now, that has very dangerous ramifications. It is a challenge for our statecraft. And the problem in Bangladesh is this, that with the Awami League being out of reckoning in the elections, in the February elections, you have the centrist BNP, you have the Jamaat. But what is far more threatening than the Jamaat is the far right. I'm told there are two parties. One is the Hizbul Tahrir and the other is a pro-Al-Qaeda faction. And the factions behind the shooting of Osman Hadi is this far right. And this far right is saying that, not only must Bangladesh totally Islamize, but it must Islamize through the military route. And so you have the prospect of an Islamic preacher, Asim Munir, on your western horizons, with all the nuclear weapons in his hands, the hardening of the nuclear terror complex, 27th Amendment, where he's become so powerful, where the Chief of Army Staff has become Chief of Defense Forces, the 3-star heading the National Strategic Command will only be from the army, the linkage with the Jaish, the terror nuclear complex on the west, and Shariat on your east. Now, this is really a grim challenge. I'm sure the Indian establishment is bracing up for it, but we will really have to be very creative, engage, is also strengthen our deterrence. I hope we are doing that, because the consequences could be very grave. So I'm not saying that there is anything to get alarmed about, but certainly we have to, look very carefully at what is happening around our western horizons and eastern horizons. And I think after 71, this is the first time. And even in 71, we were never really threatened from the east. But after 71, this is this real grave crisis, where, as I said, you have this Islamic preacher on your west, Bangladesh to your east, where what is more threatening than Jamaat is the far right, the even further right, which is even worse than Jamaat. So Pakistan connects with Jamaat, but this far right is even beyond Munir's control. And there, this pan-Islamist issue is, a matter of great concern, the funding that is coming from Turkey and so on and so forth. So it is just not Munir, it is Munir, USA, and what's happening in Bangladesh, which is really a seminal moment for Indian statecraft. Nothing to worry. We have handled many challenges in the past, but I think we really need to step up our game. I'm sure we are doing it. I hope we can do even better.
Thank you so much, sir. Before I yield the floor to General Ravi Shankar, I want to give an update on who is sending their troops and in what capacity to this international stabilization force. Can I have the screen, please? Post-war Gaza. And the objective of this ISF is to secure Gaza's borders, oversee the demilitarization of armed groups, train a new Palestinian police force, and facilitate humanitarian aid distribution under the mandate of Board of Peace. Now comes the interesting stuff. Who is joining? The only country, I'm spilling the beans here, the only country which has offered troops is Indonesia, 20,000. Take a look at Italy. They says we will conditionally accept but requires no direct combat with Hamas. This, if I read this, I am reminded of Russell Peters. I don't know, generals, if you watch this guy, stand-up comedy of Russell Peters. He talks about the Indian mindset, and it's very, very funny. He'll say he's going to a football match, American football, and he tells the players, no, I'm not going to run with you with the ball. I'm going to cheer for you. You go there, I'll cheer for you. That's exactly what Italy is saying. Conditional acceptance requires no direct combat with Hamas. Egypt, in strict coordination, wary of direct deployment. United Arab Emirates, currently refuse deployment pending clear legal framework and two-state path. Turkey, willing to deploy, but Israel doesn't want them. Then United States, leading the initiative, no boots on the ground. This information is current as of 24 hours ago. Terms and mandate, it is mandated by the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, November 2025. Force operates under the authority of a transitional board of peace. Primary mandate includes blah, blah. You get the idea. I've already said this thing. So the operational timeline, this is very interesting. Jan 2026 is supposed to start. Phase 1 between October and December, ceasefire implementation and formation of the Board of Peace. Not sure how far that has progressed. Then from phase 2 starts from Jan 2026 onwards, ISF deployment, Hamas disarmament, and IDF withdrawal from population centers. Phase 3, long-term full reconstruction and transition to reformed Palestinian Authority governance. So this is what it is as of 24 hours ago. Sir, even though Marco Rubio has made a statement that Pakistan is joining, it is not official yet. I think Mr. Mia Munir is trying to hold out. Something going on there between him and Trump. I mean, this is how I guess it. Over to you, General Ravi Shankar.
I'd request, Hari, you take it on. I'll come in the end. It's not fair. No, it's not a bouncer in the sense that every time it's not fair that you speak in the end. Yeah,
so I will restrict myself to what's happening in Israel. I look at it in a very tricky situation for Munir, and his speech to the Ulema is possibly not directly relating to the Pak audience. In my mind, I think he's signaling it also to the Israelis. Because I was hearing one of the podcasts in Pakistan yesterday, Najam Sethi, and he is actually goading, Israel to come and do a Turkey on Pakistan. He wants that, just like Israel objected to Turkey, he is hoping like hell that Israel objects to Pakistani forces and Munir gets a clean getaway. Which means he says, I want to go, I am totally in for Trump, but for Israel's refusal, I don't want to go. The second issue is something which General Shukla mentioned in the passing, which is coming up very, very strongly. I won't be surprised if a false flag is carried out in Iran to deflect this whole thing on Iran-Israel. And again, he'll try to get out. Like I always been saying, Asim Munir is a character which is very difficult to read. He is able to stage his moves so perfectly that the response makes him stronger. Whenever he does something, whatever response comes on him, despite the fact that it leaves him or leaves Pakistan in a bad state, Munir comes out stronger. And that is the bigger question which one has to look at. I am I am personally looking at how Munir comes out of this one, because in all possibility it may not have been him, but definitely that other gentleman called Shehbaz Sharif, who opens his mouth always in various forums in a manner that would embarrass any other nation. He would have definitely assured Trump in whatever meetings he had, definitely in that peace meeting that we had in Israel, that Pakistan would lead this whole force, because he is looking at a large amount of support coming from US, and at the same time they are also looking at alienating or taking US interests out of India, which is currently, I will say not cold, but definitely not as warm as it was a couple of years ago. Yesterday when I was looking at this podcast, repeatedly talk was, on how a good friend Modi was, taken out by Trump because of Munir's actions. So there are certain things which I am looking at. Firstly, I am a I don't know what is the residual capacity of Hamas. That only Israel knows and possibly United States knows. How much of Hamas has been destroyed? How much of Hamas is still in Gaza? How much of Hamas has already slipped out? If Hamas is not a major force in Gaza today, then possibly Munir will get away with it, because disarming a very minor force will not be a very difficult job. So that is something I need to look at. As I mentioned, Iran and Hezbollah are counters. They can be activated anytime. And they can be activated both by Munir as well as by Netanyahu, because Netanyahu himself is not in a comfortable situation. He's been forced to come into this peace deal by Trump, because the major Trump's peace deal of Ukraine-Russia is not happening. So this is possibly a side game which Trump is playing, trying to get something before the big deal comes through. And even now, when I was hearing Rubio yesterday, they were saying that still ceasefire is not effective. Israel is continuously engaging, various elements inside Gaza, which means that even phase one has not happened. We are still struggling to get a kind of a ceasefire in Palestine. So all this talk about the stabilization force and all will only happen when more parties come up. I don't see, when I saw your slide and I noted down, I don't see Egypt contributing in a big way, because the effect of Hamas falls on Egypt. If Egypt comes into the game, even if you recollect when the whole crisis took place, Egypt closed the doors on all refugees who were trying to exit out of Gaza towards Egypt. I don't think Egypt is going to contribute to this force in a big manner. Indonesia, I am a little surprised, because possibly Indonesia wants to reclaim its so-called role in the Islamic world, and is possibly the only nation which has shown interest in being part of this ISF. Also, possibly Indonesia has been, out of the main loop of international relations for a very long time. Possibly by doing this, it is going to gain a little bit of more hold in the ASEAN region. I am also skeptical in the manner Netanyahu is playing this game, because please understand that in his own political dominion, Netanyahu is weak today. He is struggling to maintain power inside Israel. So he will also like to get this so-called ISF delayed till as far as possible. So they are interesting times. I don't see a clear yes or a no coming from Pakistan. And since you mentioned this thing about Ulema when you were talking to me yesterday or chatting with me yesterday, I am personally, and then General Shankar also mentioned somewhere yesterday that we have only heard the bits and pieces of what this whole talk was there. So this is just a cover game as far as Munir is concerned. As people call him the deceiver, I think he's got many layers on him. What his mind is thinking is very difficult to perceive. Interesting times ahead. I don't think he has given up, and I think he will possibly try and get a way out the way Turkey has got out. And if he does that, then he'll have win-win everywhere, because then Trump will continue to support Pakistan, because They were willing, but unfortunately, they could not be part of it. That will be the kind of thing which is most difficult for us because the Pak-US relations, which are on a knife edge today, and as General Shukla mentioned, that the proof of the time comes out now when he's summoned to Washington and asked to lead this force. If Israel puts a bogey onto it, then he gets away once again, and he gets all the accolades for being a huge contributor to this cause, both ways, both from the Trump side as well as from the Islamic world. So this guy is a very difficult guy to read, and it's high time we have some strategic reading on this guy's actions and react in a manner that is not detrimental to us in the long run. That is very important for India as such. I leave it for
Yeah.
General Shankar. Thank you.
No,
General
let Raj.
Shankar, one moment. General Shankar, one moment. General Shukla
let
wanted to
us
make a
speak.
point. Sir, go ahead, sir.
Good, good.
Can I just come in? Because
Yeah,
Hari
yeah,
has
good,
raised some very important issues. You see, what is more difficult? Is it more difficult to do a real estate deal in New York or to deal in Gaza? Do a deal in Gaza. Now, Trump's his son-in-law Jared Kushner and Witkoff, because they broke from the usual diplomacy stranglehold, did pull off a kind of deal on paper in Gaza. Full marks to that. But now is the point. What is the residual potential of Hamas, which Hari said? I'm told they have 25 battalions. All the fighters who perished in the conflict have been resurrected fully. No problem in recruitment. So those 25 battalions are back. And those of us who dealt with counterinsurgency know this. Who knows it best? Netanyahu. He knows it. And therefore the IDF did very well, but it did not get into this messy bit of disarming those people, which is house to house. Jise hum kehte hain gali gali. That takes decades. Now, if I was actually, I wanted to put Pakistan and Turkey in place, and I had been Netanyahu, I would have said, in dono ko lead de do disarming ke liye. So let them disarm there. They will stop interfering in Bangladesh. They will learn how difficult it is to damn disarm the Hamas. It's going to be a bloody fight. What are we talking? It's about, int in the small streets, doing door to door. That Indian army has taken 3 decades to stabilize JNK. And this kind of stuff, in Iraq and Afghanistan, the Germans said, we don't patrol by night. Japan was asked to give troops, they offered dogs. Because everybody knows that, treasure is okay, $6 billion, this, that. Who is going to shed the blood? And Hamas are no pushovers. I mean, they know that place very well, the terrain and all that. Anybody who comes in to disarm them is up for a whole lot of trouble. So, I mean, we should not underestimate that. And that is going to be the central challenge. And this Hafiz-e-Quran knows that. मतलब वो religious होगा but बड़ा shrewd है, street smart. So he's not going to get into this. And if Trump is really shrewd, he will say, you come and do this disarming. बाकी सब ठीक है, rare earths वगैरह वो हम बाद में देख लेंगे. You come and, so this disarming is going to be the central issue in Gaza and in Pakistan American politics.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. General Shankar.
Yeah, very interesting. So the plot is quite complex. Let's not have any doubts. The plot is complex because of the fact that both our wings are on fire, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But Bangladesh is something we can handle. Like what General Raj Shukla said. Things are bad, but Bangladesh is a bottle which you can put a cork on. Push comes to shove, shove, you can do that and you can take some ruthless actions. And we'll leave that out. Let's get to Pakistan. So we have to read Pakistan. To say that he's a complex chap and hence we have to do something won't serve a purpose. You have to read him, he's there. This deceiver is there, he's doing something. What's he doing? How inimical is he? Which way is it the whole story going? Oh, no one else is going to do it. We have to do it, so let's try do it. I'll take off from his speech. I've watched 6 bits of his speech. I've listened to all of them for the past 2 days. When did he do the last speech of this kind? 1 week before Pahalgam. 8 minutes. And we ignored it. We thought he was just ranting. And Pat came Pahalgam. So this speech has got a purpose. And that purpose is something which you have to be clear of. Now, along with this speech, Rubio was asked by a Pakistani journalist, okay, what about Pakistan's commitment? Rubio has said it might not be an official elan and all that, but Rubio has said that look, Pakistan, I'm thankful to Pakistan for having committed and said he didn't say commit, he said volunteered. Pakistan has volunteered for his role in Gaza. What that role is little uncovered or rather under wraps, but he has volunteered for the role. The second thing which he said is Israel has okayed it. If you see that reply by Rubio, he said Israel is on our thing as to who all will form part of the stabilization force. Back the same day or the next day, this speech by this fellow takes place. Now, I'll have to do a diversion. Go back to 2000, after 9/11. What happened? When 9/11 happened and Bush gave that ultimatum, look, bomb that bloody country to back to whatever.
Stone Age.
And
Stone Age.
Stone Age. Either you're with us or against us. What did Musharraf do? The first thing Musharraf did was he spoke to all the ulema there. And he told them, look, we have no choice but to go there. Okay. Here, this chap's situation is a little more complex. It's a little more complex because of TLP and the massacre which he has done on in Murdike last month, where about 100 guys have been massacred. On that, there's no doubt, it's put under wraps. And he's split TLP apart. So the only way he prevents them from joining YEWO and all that is to speak to the ulema. Because he needs the ulema on his side when he is going into Gaza. On that, let's not have doubts. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoken to them. There's no requirement. Now, what are the 3 main things we spoke of? You watch his entire thing, the 3 things he spoke of. One, he spoke that Allah was there in that last operation, helping. His divine presence was there. So he's elevated himself as the mediator between the divine presence and human beings. He's the conduit. When you talk of metaphysics and all, he's the science. वो बीच में है वो, ठीक है? He's getting Allah's thing down to the common man, and he comes out with quotes which no one understands. Only a Maulvi will understand. He's like a religious teacher in the unit. और लड़ाई जाने से पहले वो बोलता है ना, all that. I mean, any Fauji will understand what I'm talking. So he spoke like that if you listen to him. And he spoke of Riyasat Pakistan and Kalme ke bunyad pe bana hai ye desh and whatever nonsense. And then he spoke of Afghanistan. So he's pointed his finger at Afghanistan. Why in Afghanistan? I mean, there's a logic in this, why he spoke about Afghanistan, TTP and all. Because the Afghanistan situation is bad. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa situation is bad today. Right? TTP is absolutely put him on the run. So he's diverted half the attention of the people there towards that place. Because that situation is not going to improve. And he's got no capability to improve it against Afghanistan. Everyone knows it. And now the situation is even more compounded in KP because that Sohail Afridi, who is the chief minister now, he is Imran Khan's absolute follower. Unlike that Amin Gandapur. And this fellow is going to create problems. You knock him off, he'll be a problem. You don't knock him off, he's going to be a problem. You arrest him, he's going to be a problem. So he's got a hot potato in KP. And this fellow is using that hot potato to divert everyone's attention there. And then he spoke of the third thing which he spoke of is the only one who can give fatwa is the state. No one else can give a fatwa. Why this fatwa business is coming in? Because if he commits troops there and some joker, some ulema, or some maulana or some maulvi issues a fatwa against it, say from Afghanistan or from that area, he's in trouble. He's guarding his back, just like what Musharraf did. So like I said, we don't know his full speech. I'm now putting things together based on what he has spoken, the issues which has raised. So he's guarding. And when he goes there, he'll be ruthless. He'll be like Zia-ul-Haq. After all, Zia-ul-Haq, you go back, Jordan, Palestinian, same thing he did. So, and he's making full ground for it. And he'll put a price. The price is money. And he's quite confident of, that's why he's seeking, from what one could make out so far from wherever. He is going to be called to Central Command. The Central Command is still in charge of this area. To Florida, where we'll speak. And after that, if there is an issue or something, he will go to Trump. This is exactly what happened last time. First, he went to Florida. He spent 4 days there. All issues were sorted out. The deal was made then, and only then he was given a audience with Trump. And then the rest is history. The price which Trump is paying to this fellow is all this. Trump is prepared. He has, I wouldn't say prepared. Trump has sacrificed India for this whole story because he wants whatever he wants. Because Trump has got financial interest in Gaza. It's a transactional business interest there. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are doing, deals out there. It's money. You might look at it as a political problem. Trump is not looking at it as a political problem. I mean, we are all looking at this fellow. That chap is also there. He's trying to make money. He's going to make a Trump center out there, or all that real estate. And Trump has said about this 2 years back. So this deal is going to go through. It might not happen in Jan, Feb. Now the other part of the story, if this deal doesn't go through and Trump fails, Trump will lose interest in the Middle East. He's happy with the Middle East the way it is. If he has to drop 2 more bombs on Iran, he'll drop it and be happy. And if you see his national security strategy, Middle East is already peaceful. He's not interested. There's not mention of Middle East. He says Middle East will do what it has to do on its own. And like what Raj Shukla said, these 3 commands, Africa Command and Northern Command, or the Euro Command, European Command and this Central Command are being merged into insignificance. Right? So the scene is changing. And if this fellow doesn't play up, Trump will lose interest in him. Forget about rare earth, getting money, all that is gone. So Munir knows it. Munir knows that he's on a leash with Trump. He has to go there. His only way out is there because to some extent he's burnt his bridges with Chinese. You also look, we all assess in Op Sindoor, Pakistan was hammered. The bill for Pakistan for what all they've lost, and if I take my Chief of Air Staff's word, they've lost about 10 aircraft, fighter aircraft, plus 3-4 fancy aircraft. That bill, plus the airfields and all that, the bill is about $7 billion. Who's going to foot it? USA has not given anything. They said so far we'll give, but nothing has come. China, initially they said they'll give J-35A and all that. Has anything come for Pakistan? Zero. So Munir knows, despite all this deceiver, but he's in a cul-de-sac. He has to do. If he doesn't do what Trump bids, he can't go anywhere. And China is not going to let him go. So that is one side of the story as far as Pakistan is concerned. But that's not the end of the story as far as Pakistan is concerned. because I'm going to take it a little further. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, the situation is pretty bad. And if anything, it's going bad by the hour. There'll be a stage where it plateau out and you can't raise it further. Then, and if you see his speech, he's saying, "हमारे बच्चे का खून बह रहा है mother," or words to that effect in Urdu. They're buying huge casualties. At some point of time, the Pakistani morale will go down. The army morale will go down. I mean, we have to. We are all part of the. We've commanded troops. We know how many. If you start losing, what happens? And this situation is going to get worse because if we commit troops there, it's at the cost of defense of Pakistan. So he will seek guarantees. Seek guarantees against whom? India. So expect lousy behavior from USA after all this. So if we think our equation with USA will get better, forget it. That's the bottom line I'm talking. Okay. Now, let's look at Pakistan's economy. I mean, Saqib Sherani, who's one of a good economists of Pakistan, he wrote out a op-ed in Dawn of the state of the economy. And he's put out a video also, 6 minutes video. If you go through that video and hear that video, you understand where Pakistan is. And today, there are three facts which only three data points. The first data point, 45% poverty rate in Pakistan. Just think, what is 45% poverty rate out of 250 billion people? That is nearly 125 billion people are below poverty
Millions.
line. Pakistan.
Millions.
Million. Are under poverty, right? Below poverty line. Second, 25% is the unemployment rate. You know what is it in India? 3%. The poverty line, below poverty line. We are at that level already. See the gulf. Now 25% unemployed. Third, ever since Munir has come, the economy has been contracting. 3 years. It's okay to say he's a deceiver, he and all. The fundamentals of Pakistan are in a bad shape. So the situation is slowly going to the time, he's doing a musharraf on all these ulema and all that to become Zia in, Gaza. He's got no choice. But on the other hand, the situation is going towards a time where, he has to face a Musharraf-like situation within. It's a fact. Even these are hard facts. He can be a deceiver. We don't know what he thinks and all. But the fact is, these are issues. How does he manage all these chaps? And right? And then Imran. The Imran factor is still playing out. You got him in jail, you can't kill him because then he'll become something else. You get him out, he'll be something else. And within jail also, he's doing what he has to do. Okay. So I think the whole situation is quite, nebulous in Pakistan. He's trying to he's trying his best to keep his nose above. Okay. Then, like what General Raj Shukla said, there's a problem in Bangladesh. And today I saw a couple of, articles, talks, whatever you call it. Can there be a domino effect of what's happening in Pakistan? Sorry, what's happening in Bangladesh and Pakistan? Right? And this is what Pakistanis talking. This is not my great idea. These are Pakistanis talking. That whatever is happening in Bangladesh can tomorrow happen in Pakistan. But then I will put it this way. When you look at the people of Bangladesh and people of Pakistan, the Bangladeshi people are more courageous. They got more dum. कम से कम सड़क पे तो उतर आते हैं. यहाँ तो लूले हैं. All these Pakistanis, their own votes have been, chori karod, and the guy whom they have voted for is sitting in jail, and these chaps are doing nothing. They're going into poverty, they're doing nothing. Right? They're unemployed, they're doing nothing. This fellow sending them for death in Gaza, nothing. People are getting killed in, KP and in Balochistan. He's doing nothing. There's no water. He's doing nothing. So till when can he do this nothing and get away? These are the questions which you have to answer. Now, the Munir's answer for all these, we have to consider that. What's his answer? He's got a single point agenda, India. If Pakistan's condition is going bad day by day, his only one stop solution for all his problems is India. So, how do you head it off? If you read the situation, if you know the situation, would you like to say, I will invade India, I will sort you out, I will do Op Sindoor too? Some of our leaders are talking like that. Or would you like to say, look, this is the status, things will blow up any day, and in which case there'll be so many problems? Do you start addressing the people of Pakistan and do whatever you want internally? Of course, helping the Afghans and helping Balochistan people and people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is a given. But there is more we have to start doing. You to have contingency plans for things which you feel that they can do. So I think the situation is far more complex. It's right. I mean, forget what's happened to Gaza. I'm not interested. They can keep killing. Peace can come to Gaza or not. I couldn't care a damn. I'm being very honest about it. But whatever happens in Gaza affects Pakistan and it affects us. To that extent, we should have our fingers there. Or rather, I wouldn't say fingers or eyes, eyes on the ball. And here, we have to do something. Is it political? Is it diplomatic? Is it military? What are the options? Have we thought of that? Obviously, the discourse so far is not on that. So I think we are at a stage where we have to start looking at Pakistan in a different manner altogether. Simultaneously handle Bangladesh. Right? I've given just the complexity of it without any solution because at this point of time, I don't have a solution. I don't know whether we defined the problem also. With this, back to you, Shreyas ji.
Thank you so much, sir. General Raj Shukla, I'll start with you again, sir. Let's say that we have to defeat Pakistan politically, not militarily. That's an easier thing to do in the sense that you don't lose troops, you don't lose resources. Let us say that one country has been willing to recognize Balochistan. All they want is for India to immediately second that, because India's recognition of something like that would be huge. People will jump up and down all over Pakistan. And this has been the case for the last 3-4 years, as far as I know, General Shukla. The country has been known to, the country that wants to recognize Balochistan is known to do these kinds of things. It's from Europe. But India is not, according to many sources, India is not willing to do that one extra step. So if you want to defeat Pakistan politically, and if you don't do even this, how do you think India can see, we don't want anybody coming in as refugees. That's the first biggest concern. If you're 1 and 2 are going hungry, that's the first thing that India has to deal with. What would you do, sir?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question. So before I come down to Balochistan, I was just thinking, you see, now that India is the 4th largest, 3rd largest economy, which means we are, I'm not saying a superpower, but somewhere in the big power game. How do we look at our periphery? Look at how the United States is now talking of another version of the Monroe Doctrine, how sensitive it is to its periphery. How sensitive is China to its periphery? So I'm saying Balochistan is one of the factors, but we must try and be more proactive in our periphery. Which means what? I can think of a couple of things. Balochistan recognition is one of the options. But even more than that, we should start shaping events in our periphery before they reach our borders. Now, how do we do that? We have to shed this basic coyness about, looking up and beyond our borders. It was this logic that set up the DIA. Now, today, external intelligence is, as far as I know, the exclusive purview of RAW. has the time come now to also deploy the DIA in terms of military intelligence shaping of the periphery of the countries around us? And there are many ways to do that. It cannot be stated on television, but that fundamental issue needs to be looked at. DIA could also have a very strong military diplomacy profile. For example, I know that the two armies, India and Bangladesh, on a good wicket, the two army chiefs are in conversation. Can we strengthen this military to military thing in a big way? It will have a direct impact in Afghanistan. If we are doing it, fine. If we are not doing it, we must step up all these things. Today, there is a whole lot of chaos in Myanmar and Bangladesh, which everybody is exploiting. USA, China, in many ways. Is there an Indian presence outside the traditional, what shall I say, diplomatic framework? Most nations do it. Are we doing it? We have done some clever diplomacy with Afghanistan. Can we step up that whole game? I mean, if Asim Munir is saying that 70% of the TTP is coming from Afghanistan, why not make it 90%? So many of these things can be done. For that, the DIA, who was created for this purpose, all the wisdom of Mr. K. Subramaniam, we must step up our game. Because if you don't step up your game here, those threats will come close to your borders. Today, if the threats along the eastern borders are so huge, everybody seems to be saying it. There is talk of a possibility of a Jaish attack from Bangladesh, drug money coming in, all these syndicates. Already stuff is happening. Why not seal the borders on the east? Just as we are so sensitive to LC, LAC. I mean, the virtual diktat to the Indian military is that not even an insect should come through the LC. Why should the eastern borders be so porous? And if we need to lay some force, Assam Rifles, RR, the time to do it is now, and not when the whole issue, boils over. So there are a number of issues in terms of our outlook, statecraft, DIA, in posturing, and in that recognition of Balochistan is also an option. India basically has now to change its whole visage in terms of a big power. I'm not saying Monroe, but yes, some version of that. Look at how the Americans are so sensitive to their Western Hemisphere. Look at what the Chinese are doing in their periphery. So I very strongly feel that we need to become more proactive. It is not militarization, but it is shaping the neighborhood, not only in terms of soft power, whatever we have done for these many years, but we need to come to the aid of our diplomacy. I mean, the ambassador needs something to negotiate with, and that negotiation has to be on the basis of force, the ability, hard power, hard ball. In that domain, we have been a little shy and coy. I think the time has come to step up our game there.
Thank you so much, sir. General Harimohan Iyer, today another political hopeful has been gunned down. And again, the blame is being put on unknown. How can an unknown person who's killing this guy be India's responsibility is one wonders. And certainly the people who are trying to, throw their hat in the ring in terms of the next coming elections, now they are really rattled because this has now become a habit. In fact, the first one, they were trying to say that the killers have escaped to India. And until the head of army in India had a one-on-one call with the Bangladeshi counterpart, and then they accepted that this person is somewhere else. They even recognized this person is of this particular group. General Harimohan Iyer, there is definite fake narrative going on. And I'm going to release a video shortly, viewers, in about 3-4 hours time, that tells you how much money influencers are getting paid now by China and its cats for Pakistan. It's mind-boggling. So how does one fight this fake narrative, General Iyer?
So firstly, I think I must clarify a couple of things which possibly got registered incorrectly. I never mentioned that Israel will play this game of, denying Pakistan a route. I said that I heard in the Pakistani podcast that they wish Israel does a Turkey for them. That's the first point. I think when General Shankar was mentioning, he was saying that Israel has, accepted it. Obviously, Israel knows it. They will not say no to it. But Pakistan wants a, escape card, get out of jail free card. And Pakistan is possibly trying to create a scenario for Israel to put an objection to Pakistani troops coming to Hamas, to Gaza. So that is what I was trying to bring out in the first part. Second, one other couple of things which I would like to say before. You see, I would not too much, I will not, I'll be a little constrained on talking about Bangladesh because that's a totally different topic. And like General Raj Shukla says, Bangladesh is like, it can be cocked anytime. Let's leave those things. One odd guy getting killed by an unknown, these are normal routine things in a state which is in mayhem. Both Bangladesh and Pakistan today are, mirror images like General Shankar brings out. And when gang wars are happening, people get killed and blames can get transformed to anybody. And the best punching bag today is India. So when somebody dies in Pakistan, they say it happened from Indian influence. The same thing Bangladesh is also echoing. So I'll not get too much of credence to those kind of talks. And I'll rather like to focus on the subject which we are discussing today because there's a lot of implications to it. If tomorrow Pakistan does manage to send troops to Gaza and then thereafter another Pulwama happens, what does India do? What will be the response of the world order, particularly when you have articulated that an incident will be responded to? These are major questions that we need to look at because we are by and large getting isolated in this sphere. US, like General Shankar brought out, is no longer looking at India as a friend. In that kind of a scenario, can we have a proactive assertion to an incident that may or may not happen? And like he said, what happened after 15th of April was Pahalgam 1 week later. So he again gets back to the same kind of thing. Tomorrow a minor incident happens, gets attributed to Pakistan. What do we do? Will we go hammer and tong saying Op Sindoor is still on? Will the world body accept it when Pakistan says, I want to send troops to Gaza? Can he create a false flag operation of this nature to escape the bigger muddle that he's put himself into in sending troops to Gaza? Because he is like at the moment somebody, I think General Shukla mentioned Imran Khan, or sorry, General Shankar mentioned Imran Khan. Imran Khan has been given another sentence yesterday. 17 years. And when the discussion was happening on the sentence, they said the main case is yet to start. The one which he incited riots against or revolution inside inside the Pakistan army, where they say that the right kind of decision will come. So they are expecting to give possibly a death sentence to him based on that kind of a decision. And when he has separated the federal court, the biggest difference in the constitutional amendment of the 27th constitutional amendment is that now all political cases will go to the federal court, which he's got a full control on. So when this case of Imran Khan comes back to the federal court and he is given a death sentence, much like what happened to Bhutto, was there a kind of a problem in Pakistan? I don't remember one. Only if anything, Zia-ul-Haq became a little more stronger. So if Asim Munir becomes or wants to retain his hold on the system, he may, go to that levels. And in that kind of a scenario, he will be able to meet both his requirements. As I look at it today, yes, Pakistan's economy is in tatters. When was it very well? Or when was it good? At least for the last 4 decades, they have been, going from bad to worse. They have been living off IMF loans for, I think, 3 decades now. But has IMF stopped funding them? Have we been able to stop getting IMF from funding them? Is Saudi Arabia not funding them? Is the Muslim world not looking at Pakistan as the leader? These are questions which are there. They may be having official figures of budgets. There's so much of money which keeps flowing from all these other sources, which keeps them afloat. And to meet these requirements, Pakistan will continue to flout its army. because that is all that they can show. So if tomorrow they have to fight the Houthis in Yemen, they will send its troops to Saudi Arabia and meet its requirement. And that's what happened after that agreement with Saudi Arabia, which incidentally nobody has seen the fine print of it. We did a program on your show a couple of months back, but I'm yet to see the fine print of what was that agreement. It's not there anyway. So they are masters at these kind of things. I do again. I see, like what General Shankar says is absolutely right. The Trump has got least interest in the Middle East. He is only wanting to take Gaza as possibly a flag of success to say that yes, I solved a major problem. That was exactly what Rubio was trying to say yesterday in his press conference. He was trying to say that decade-old war in Gaza has come to an end because of President Trump's personal interest. He has reduced United Nations to absolute no gooder, because everything which United Nations is supposed to be doing has been done by Trump. Even this current resolution is literally at one dictated by US to the United Nations. So in this kind of a scenario, when you are currently finding yourself having no voice because Israel doesn't want you to be part of this muddle in Gaza, neither should you be. I don't think it is worth getting into this muddle in Gaza. We are nowhere in any other issues in the Middle East today. Yes, we are looking at trouble both from our eastern and western flanks. And that was something which was said by Asim Munir as way back as June. So last 6 months, this was happening. It's not that something has happened out of nowhere. Like, are we taking suitable actions? General Shukla brought out so many things. Leave alone controlling the infiltration. Today, we are getting into other political domains and trying to say that, yes, we have got so many infiltrators already residing inside India. And they are running into crores. If that is the kind of infiltration that has already happened on our eastern end, we are in big trouble in Assam and West Bengal. All that has to be done is somebody has to legislate it, make it a little more, increase it a little more. And you have seen the kind of messaging which is coming through Bangladesh regarding our northeast. It is something which is out in the open. So I'm a little concerned about what is going to happen on a western front rather than on the eastern front, because we can control what is happening on the eastern front, provided that our northern front stays as it is today, because that is also live as I look at it today. Yes, I want Pakistan to get into this muddle. And it is not just this. I was hearing yesterday that his attempt to get his pet guy, Faisal Hamid, as the DG ISI has run into trouble. He is not able to get that guy there. So I think that guy is way down in the order of merit. He is struggling to appoint him as the ISI. And Nawaz Sharif, I believe, is not agreeing to it. So there is a little political military conflict also happening in Pakistan. He is not able to get a guy as the vice chief of Army Staff, a 4-star guy. He is not able to get a guy whom he wants to sit in the National Command Authority who controls the news. He is sitting as the Field Marshal, all right, but the next rung is all vacant. So we have to exploit these fault lines, and that is what this opportunity gives. When his focus is shifting towards the Middle East, that's the particular time we have to exploit these fault lines. And I personally feel all these unknown men and all are, much more things for the social media to play around. There are much more important things that needs to happen. And I guess at this kind of level, we should start taking out the major points and not getting into these small things. Thank you.
Thank you, General Iyer. I respectfully disagree with you on this particular incident because the thing has been played up in the Western press. India may ignore what's happening in Bangladesh as a one-off incident, but the Western press has picked it up. United Nations, the Bangladesh US consul in Bangladesh has done it. And they pointedly ignored the fact that a Hindu was basically burnt at the stake. There are issues, sir, and all these things have a Pakistan origin to it. That's why I brought this thing. I apologize if you felt that I went off track to talk about Bangladesh. The point here is that P gurus can only say that the patient has a temperature. What can be done has to be done by the doctor, and I'm not the doctor. Let's go to General Ravi Shankar. Sir, your concluding remarks on this. I don't have any questions specifically for you, sir.
Yeah, I understand. No,
Yeah,
I understand. Look, this is a very complex topic. Okay. And when you mix Bangladesh and Pakistan, the complexity increases. If you disaggregate them, things will fall in place. Like all three of us have agreed, Bangladesh is complex, but that's a complexity which you can bottle and keep it canned. You don't have to react to what's happening in Bangladesh, whether it's unknown gunmen or known gunmen. Let them do what happens inside. Let anyone talk what they want. Like what General Raj Shukla said, you have to declare a Monroe policy. I'm not saying we do it like I said we should declare. And yesterday I spoke of this in my own channel and also with Sanjay Dixit. I said, look, just put out that whatever happens in Bangladesh, if it is inimical to our interests, we will take necessary action. That itself will give a lot of shakes all around. Enough, just that. And we already put those three cantonments around Rangpur and that belt, Dubri, Chopra, and Kishanganj. If you have any one of you have been there, you'll understand the significance of that. And that in one go you can widen the Siliguri corridor, push comes to Ashab if it is required. That's all. So that's not a big problem. I don't see Bangladesh is a different kind of a fish. This is a different kind of a fish. You are here at a point where it is in your interest that this fellow goes into Gaza.
Absolutely.
Remember, this is you are at a point where this fellow should go, and you are at a point where he is going to do something to ensure he doesn't go there. And where what does he do? He has to do with India.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is the point. This is the catch 22 you are in. You have to push him there. It's in your interest he goes there. How do you do it? The trick of the whole story is this. And yet, you have to transfer the whole story into him. How do you do it? You have to do it politically. The political answer is not in Baluchistan. Because in Baluchistan, there's a lot of blood flowing. You do anything in Baluchistan, he will put up a red flag to USA and say, oh, look, I have a problem here in Baluchistan. I'm not going there. Okay? You do anything in KP today, he will do the same thing. You do anything overt in Afghanistan, he'll do. Because that's one of the things which he has spoken. Again, I said, no, listen to what that fellow has spoken. Don't draw your own conclusions. That's why I said, listen to his speech. The answers are there. What's in his mind is there. Okay. Listen to what the Pakistanis talk. My way of doing it is very simple. Do a low-key political outreach into POJK. Okay. It is the political outreach into POJK which is important. And this is a thing which I've been saying for a long time. ये नहीं बोलना कि मैं POJK people I will go and do attack on them and capture them and all that. Do a low-key political outreach. Okay. And which doesn't mean anything, but at any point of time you can transfer the weight that side. That is what statecraft is all about. Statecraft is not about responding to military thing because you're not organized for it. If you have to wait till what General Raj Shukla says. Raj Shukla says absolutely right. We should do all this. By the time we do all this, Mr. Modi's third term will be over. That's the way we progress. That's our rate of progress. Hard facts about India. So do statecraft. So if you can do statecraft is how to ensure that fellow still goes there. So you might like to tell Trump, yeah, ensure he goes. Why don't you do the judo trick on him? Forget use Rubio, you use everyone to ensure that and use Netanyahu. Ask Netanyahu to ask for Pakistan. There are a lot of tricks you can do. You have to be inventive in how you have to do it. Look, this is the time to do out-of-box thinking. Mr. Munir is not the only guy who can do out-of-box thinking. Okay? And we shouldn't react to anything which happens around us emotionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There are no emotions in this. In statecraft, there's no emotion. From my side, if the Hindus of Bangladesh get killed, so be it. because they've chosen to be Bangladeshis for the past 75 years. They're not our nationals. We will do what we have to do, but India's interests have to be first. What is India's interest? What is India's security is first. We have to be very clear on that. It's not that we shouldn't do what we have to do to Hindus. We have to do. But we have to be clear. We have to take care of our people, our territorial integrity and sovereignty. Right? I thought I'll put all these back to you, Sri Ayerji.
Thank you
Shriji,
so much, sir.
Shriji, just
Yeah,
one point. I just want to
Yeah.
add one point. Yeah. Shriji, it is in our interest that we bring the aspect of Zia and Black September right on the front. That is the best thing to do. Tell them who killed Palestinians. Kill him in his own, put him in his own slot.
Hari, you should wait till that fellow goes there. Yeah, uske baad baat ko.
No, that's the point is this
Let
guy
him go
should
there.
be forced to go there. This guy should be forced to go there. And he should be and once he goes there, we have to paint the whole thing red, saying that what Zia did in 1971.
Let him go there. Push him there.
That is how this whole
Push
thing
him
will
there
turn.
first.
Yeah.
Push him there first. That's
Push
the
him.
point.
Now, there is a very popular long-running show in United States called The Price is Right. Common persons will be asked to name the price of a certain thing, and whoever is closest to the real thing wins it. Sir, in my humble opinion, if the price is right, the Pakistani general will do anything for you. Let's leave it at that.